So I saw Wicked this past Saturday, and I was really excited for this movie. I will admit this though, I haven't seen a Broadway play. I haven't read the book that the Broadway play is based off of. And oh man, I'm not the biggest Wizard of Oz person. Like I enjoyed a Wizard of Oz movie, but it's not a movie that I love or attached to like everybody else is. Like to me, I think it's overrated personally. Like not a bad movie by any means. It's just like one of those movies I'm like I enjoyed decent time with, but it's not a movie I can see and say that I love. The James Franco awesome, great and powerful movie. I thought that was decent, not great, not terrible, but it was an okay movie. So I've never been really too big into this franchise. I thought this movie was fantastic. Like the only nitpick I was saying, this is a small negative, is that Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Yeoh, great actors, but I could tell they aren't really the strongest singers. Like compared to the two main actresses and even everybody else, I think they to me had the weakest singing voices. But when they would try to sing, it sounded like they're talking. Again, it's like a small nitpick that I had. It's not like something that really bothered me. And I could see the length feeling a little too long for some people, but I'm gonna be honest. For me personally, I didn't have a problem with the length. Like this movie is a little bit long, but for me personally, I felt like all the stuff they had in there added to the main characters when it came to the supporting characters, where the subplots. I feel like they like connected to the main added to the main characters. So I don't personally feel like this movie was too long. I know that is a like a little negative for some people where they felt like, yeah, this movie could have trimmed some stuff out. Which I could understand why. This movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I can understand why some people would say it feels a little too long. I just personally didn't feel that. But yeah, outside of Jeff Goldblum, which shows young singing not being as strong, that's really the only small negative I had. Like I think this movie is just fantastic. It's charming, it's fun. I do love my musical movies. Like Moulin Rouge and The Heights, Greatest Showman. So I am a fan of musical movies, and I think the musical elements, the songs in this were great. I think my favorite ones was probably Defying Gravity and Poplar because I think just like I think the way these songs are set is just really fun too. Like there's one song in the Lab Areas, I think the choreography was just fantastic, and just overall I just find the songs really fun. But they will probably be my standout songs, and they add to the characters. Because I always say when a musical movie, the songs should add to the story and characters and bring out stuff we don't know about the characters. Or just like I said, just add to the character's personality or enhance the story. And when it comes to the side characters, I actually really love the subplot with animals because that was something that, and it connects to the Wicked Witch character, which I love that too. But I love the fact we kind of learned something about the Wizarding world that we didn't when it comes to the Wicked world, excuse me, not the Wizard world. I was getting mixed up with Harry Potter for a second, yeah. But with the Wizard world and the Wizard of Oz movies, like the whole subplot that was like, this is interesting. Like I love how it kind of deals with some subjects here that are kind of like real world subjects. And something you kind of didn't know about the Wizard of Oz world, like some of this lore and like plot elements, which I really liked. And I think the two main actors, and this is the I love all the side supporting characters. Like I thought the prince was great. I thought the Wicked Witch's sister. I really liked her character, and the Mustang guy. I liked his character. They were all just very fun, charming characters. But I think Ariana Grande and Sisney are definitely the main reason why I love this movie, and it's because of their chemistry and just I feel like their characters were just so compelling and interesting. Like they haven't done too much film stuff from what I've seen, and I'm not too familiar with Ariana Grande's singing when it comes to her music. But they're both great singers. But their performances are so great in this movie. Like I came out just going like I want to see more movies with these two actresses. Like their chemistry, like Ariana Grande such a great job with the Glinda character where she is popular, this version of a character at the beginning, but I always felt like the way she portrays her, there's always something beyond that popularity vain girl. Because I think this character could have easily fell into the whole thing of like, like in high school you have those mean girls, and she has a little bit of that. But I don't know, the way she played her, I still found her extremely likable, and there was always something more to her. Like, even, like, it generally seemed like she did want to help people, but she didn't realize doing it in kind of a veiny way at the beginning, and just I always felt like there was something more behind that popularity girl. And when she hits those emotional moments with her and Alfie, which is her name in this movie, between her and Cincinnati, you really just buy the chemistry. Like I love the fact you see them start off as people who aren't friends because they're so opposite personalities, but how like two different people can become friends despite the different personalities, despite where they come from. And that's one of the things I love about the friendship in this movie is that you see them grow into friends, and you see how like Alfie kind of helps Glenna become, like helps bring out the stuff that makes her good, and how she does want to help people underneath though, and that kind of brings out more of a good personality, and how Glenna kind of helps brings Alfie out more of a show, and I think they just really complement each other when it comes to these two different people from two different lives coming together. It just, like I say, chemistry. To me, with this movie, if you didn't nail these two characters and you didn't really buy into their friendship, this movie would not work in my opinion. And to me, they cast perfect. Like I said, Eric Garner just does a great job of playing Glenn in a way that's like not where she's not perfect. She's not just completely all good like in always a movie where you see that she's a little flawed. And she was also funny. I gotta say, Eric Grande, like she has natural comedic timing. There was moments where I was cracking up with the Glinda character with some of this stuff with her comedic time. I was like, she's really funny too. Like I just found I was like, I want to see her do some comedy movies after this, honestly, because she has really natural comedic timing. Where I'm like, she's like one of those actors I watch. And I'm like, you know what? I would love to see her in comedy movies after this, like some comedy stuff. And Cynthia Eyes, she just gives a very emotional performance where you really see how her skin color, the character being green, and how people look around her. And I even love like parts of the movie where she would like when people would see her, she would answer people's questions right away. It's like, did I eat grass? No. I did grow up looking green, yes, and like stuff like that. Because I love that. She was a very compelling character, and you just felt sympathy for her. And like one of my favorite moments in the movie is where Glinda gives her that hat, the black hat, which becomes a wizard's hat. She goes to the party that the prince invites her, and the Tisa, Michelle Yeoh's character Tisa gives Glinda her wand, which is what she wants. She wants to become a witch, a sorcerer. She says like Alfie like gave it to her, like totally give it to her. And that's what she was, like, giving that hat to Bear. So you see, like, Elsie coming on a dance floor doing a little dance. And you see everybody looking around and whispering. And you see that Aragorn and his character Glenna come on the floor. And you just see Elfie's face, just so expressing. Where you just really see into her, like, soul and really feel her pain. And that moment, to me, it's just a great acting moment between both those characters. Without saying anything, between both those actors, you really buy into that connection between them. So I just thought this movie was funny, charming. I would say Defying Gravity and Pop Up probably my favorite songs. And it's like I really loved all the songs. And one of the songs had like a scene in the library where it had some great choreography. I also really like the Prince character. Like I like how Elfie kind of like points out to the Prince that when they first meet that like you're kind of unhappy even though you're pretending to be happy in front of everybody, which is another thing I love about this movie. Like this movie deals with very real world stuff I didn't expect. Like you have Alfie's like skin being how people sometimes treat people with different skin color, or they don't look like an average person, or just how society maybe views you, or the idea of like people making you into the bad guy when you're really not. And even a Prince character where you kind of like, she points out that, the facade you put on in front of people where you put on a facade that you're happy, but you're really unhappy. So I like how it deals with a lot of real world subjects that you can relate to. And the third act, like, it ends on such an emotional note with Glenda and, Jeff Goldblum, he's great as the wizard in this. But it ends on a great note. Like, it goes dark in the third act, which I really loved. But it ends on a great note where it's like you see them going to the Defying Gravity song where the wizards turn Elfie's character Wicked Witch into kind of a villain because they want her to read this spell book. Which I thought this was a really kind of like a horrific dark scene. You see the monkeys like growing the wings that in the Wizard of Oz movie. But that moment where I love how this movie ends between those two characters, where Glenna realizes she can't go with her, but she still wants her to be happy. And I love that friendship. That even at the end of this movie, they still are friends, and they hope that they end up being happy with where they decide to go. That even though they're going in opposite directions at the end of this movie, you still feel like they want each other to be happy. And I love that at the end of the movie. And also, I think this movie does a great job balancing this tone. Like, I love how this tone, in one moment, it can be just really fun. Then after that, it gets a little dark. But it never feels like, to me, it never feels like the tone overshifts. It never feels like it goes one way and too much in a dress. And like, it always feels like it just perfectly balances out the music, the emotional stuff, the funny comedy stuff, which I thought was just really, there's a lot of moments in the movie that I just thought was just really funny. And then also being fun and epic. Like, to me, this is an event movie. This is a movie you go to theaters and see. And this is a movie to me that I would definitely go see again and again. Like, the story was great, the characters were great. Like, Alpha and Glenna, I said this before, like, if you don't buy into chemistry and you don't do a great job of really making me feel like that you care about these two characters, like, you already know they're great singers. Like, they do a great job singing in this movie. But when it came to their performances, and just really feeling for those characters. I felt completely invested in those characters. I felt completely invested in their friendship throughout the whole entire movie. Like the chemistry between these two, I was like, nailed it. Like I just nailed the chemistry. Like I love the chemistry between these two actors. Like you just completely buy into this friendship between Glenna and Alfie and Wicked West. And I love the way this movie opens too. It's like after Wizard of Oz, where it opens with Glenna and the town celebrating that the Wicked Witch is dead. And I love how it kind of opens with that, where you see the witch's hat, because she obviously melted in the original movie, on the ground, and then you see the town all celebrating and everything. So I love how it kind of like starts up with the after the events of the original Wizard of Oz movie, where the Wicked Witch is dead. I also gotta say, this is another reason why I really love Glenna's performance. In those moments where she's become the Glenna the Good Witch that you see from the Wizard movie at the beginning of the movie, where she's telling the story of Alfie, and they ask like, and one of the people in the town asks, "Do you know the Wicked West?" And she was like saying, like something like, "I knew her back then. We passed by each other." I love how even in that moment, I'm talking about like the like bone and scarecrow, the Wicked Witch, and all of a sudden, as she said, you can see behind her eyes that she wished her friend didn't die. Like I said, there was always something behind Glenn in this movie where I felt like you so much more to her than just like the spoiled popular witch person in the school. Like you always feel like there was something more, and I feel like that opening when they're celebrating the Wicked Witch is dead, you really see kind of the again. This is why I think like for somebody who hasn't done much acting and who's more of a singer, she just does a great job performance-wise in this movie of just showing these different layers to this Glinda character. Which, as somebody who didn't love the Wizard of Oz movie, who enjoys it decent, I always felt Glinda in that movie was maybe a little too good in that movie. But I love how in this version, it's like you still see that she's generally a good person, but you see how there's so much more to her than just that. Like just that moment of them talking about the Wicked Witch dead, and you see kind of the sadness in her emotion that you can tell like she didn't want her friend to die, despite them going down different paths by the end of this movie and her becoming and Alfie becoming the Wicked Witch the villain. So just a fantastic movie. I highly recommend go see Wicked if you haven't seen it yet. This movie, in my opinion, go see at the theaters. So that's my thoughts on Wicked. Until next time, movie fans.